Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm not.
We lost a real one, and we are in LA, obviously, so we are feeling the effects in a kind of a different way.
Yeah.
Nipsey Hussle
feels real.
Was murdered on Sunday, which felt like it felt like a Tupac Biggie impact.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how you received it when you heard the news, but I mean, everyone obviously found out through social media what had happened, at least that he had been shot, and then soon after that he had passed. But it was such it's a feeling I really haven't had since Michael Jackson passed. Maybe when Prince passed, I felt this way. Oh, shout out to Prince.
Shouts out to Prince, the jersey.
Yeah, Hooper
yes.
for real.
Yeah,
for real
life.
Yeah.
Check the stats.
Oh, he hooped.
He hooped. Yeah.
At 5'2".
Sure.
Shout out to 5'2".
Shouts
I'm
out.
stealing your thing. Shout out. We'll get to that later.
Yay! Shouts out to shout outs.
The point is, it felt like it still feels like a very heavy feeling.
Yeah.
And you try and kind of put it in perspective, like this is somebody that you don't know.
Right.
But I feel like the impact of that one act of violence has affected millions of people, and I just have this incredible feeling of sympathy for Lauren London and their kids and his family.
Yeah.
It felt so violent and impactful, and then immediately you saw the impact that it had on the sports community, which, all of us, privately, discuss what's happening with it. And they've caught the alleged shooter, and they had a vigil last night, which turned violent again. And it's really sad is not the word for the whole situation, because he was really he was more than just like a cultural icon and a rapper. What he was doing was on Tupac level, influential, inspiring, giving back to the community, and not just, donating stuff. Like, he was really in the hood, really with Black-owned businesses, encouraging Black-owned businesses to thrive in his own community. He was supposed to meet with the LAPD on Monday about ways to reduce gang violence. Like, he was really on another level.
Right.
I don't even want to say ahead of his time. He was, but he was really speaking for what we should all be doing right now. Like, invest in yourself, invest in real estate, and not, belaying. That's cool, enjoy your earnings, but do it in a way that, supplies for your future. And he was preaching a lot of things that really impacted not only just the music culture, but the sports culture. And it really got me thinking when we were discussing yesterday, this is just on top of everything else and the sadness of it, and the losing, the loss of a cultural icon, and a brother and someone that a lot of people respected and was doing great things for the community. It feels like it's a reminder of just the state that we're in right now. I just feel like we're going to look back on this time the way that people who lived through the civil rights era look back on those times. Like, we're in such a transformative time right now with the media, with everything that's going on with the presidency, with just the amount of hate and division that goes on. And and just like anything that's happening in our society, it pours over into sports. It pours over into culture. And this was such a strong example of the crossroads with culture, music specifically, and sports. Like, the influence that music has over the sports community is incredible, and it's sometimes often ignored.
It's fuel.
It is
fuel for these people to aspire and reach their dreams.
Well, because it's art, and it all moves full circle. Like, one influences the other. Like, Nipsey was at the Texas Tech game in Anaheim just the other day. He was always front and center at Laker games. Like, he was at the fight, the first game. He made sure he always claims he's a LA fan, Clippers and Lakers, but he was at the first game for LeBron. LeBron had just spoken to him recently saying that he wanted to get to more Lakers games. So yeah, it's for other people. I try to think of news and think of people who like aren't as close to the situation as we are. Right. For to bring up something that maybe people can wrap their minds around, Kendrick Lamar put out his first real album when Good Kid, Mad City came out in 2012, and it was phenomenal, and people around the music industry knew about Kendrick Lamar. Like, at that point in time, he had a verse on Drake's Take Care album, so he was out there. But
mainly in the community and mainly in hip hop community. If we were to have lost Kendrick Lamar in 2013, this is comparable to what this feels like for people. I would just try to put that out there to help people wrap their minds around what Nipsey was doing and what he was going to do, and just the ground that he had laid. Like, you won't hear another person say anything negative about Nipsey because they experienced him in real life and felt the heart. And honestly, like, I say this a lot about people, and it's kind of a religious thing, but like, to see the God in someone without even believing in that type of thing, this is the type of person that he was. And it was taken from him by someone who was a member of his gang. And obviously, like, the details and things like that, and like, this all an ongoing investigation, so I won't speak on that too much. But for it to be in the neighborhood that he grew up riding his bike around, he and his brother and his uncle bought that entire strip mall complex that's all owned by him across the street from neighborhood in the elementary school, middle school that he went to. That just adds to the tragic. And obviously with social media, everything's amplified, but I hope this wave of sadness ends type of senseless violence like this, because these things aren't to be celebrated in the community anymore. And I'm sure at one point in time they were.
Right. No, it feels like that is something that this is something that could really spark that conversation, because we talk so much about the violence that is put on to our community. Mm-hmm. So we have to talk that much about the violence that happens within our own community.
Yeah, breeds within the community.
And again, it's just an overall impact, like, feeling, and it feels so heavy, and I really can't shake it, because I keep thinking, there's the visuals are obviously so dramatic, and there's horrible stuff on social media. Mm-hmm. Obviously the videos are out there, and it just feels like, I mean, you saw the reaction that Kevin Durant had, and Steph Curry had, and so many NBA players have. You mentioned LeBron, CP3, Boogie. Like, a lot of these guys had relationships with him, Kyle Kuzma, and it felt like you really feel like you lost a member of the community. Yes. Like, people say that term, like, this is a person you don't know, and obviously we grow a connection to athletes, we grow a connection to artists, because we attach good memories to the entertainment that they produce. Of course. And so that kind of puts us in a crossroads when something wrong happens, but it's that impactful when they are doing something positive in the community as well. But my bigger point to all of this, like, aside from how we're all feeling about it, and the reaction from NBA players and all of that, is just it's important to me, like, in these moments, that you really take a moment to recognize the impact of what it is that's happening. Like, we talk about a lot of stuff. Like, we talk about Kaepernick. We talk about Shut Up and Dribble. We talk about just 2 Chainz album. Rapper Go to the League. Like, all of these things are kind of spoken about in the abstract, and you very rarely take the time, especially if you're not someone who has experienced it, to hone in on what it is actually being said. Like, we live in such divisive times where it's like, I feel this way, and if you feel this way, I don't even want to hear what you have to say. And I think that's something that really has to adjust if we're all going to survive, like, on a bigger macro scale. But that's why it's so important for athletes to be vocal when they feel inspired to be. Like, the pushback on athletes who are talking about things that are going on in their community and social issues, and talking about what you should do with your money, and talking about, how to treat women or how to treat children, and what Kaepernick did. Like, the reason that people fight so hard to protect Kaepernick or to stand up for Kaepernick is not because people just want to be lazy with their political take, or because, we're just complaining because, we just want special treatment or something. Like, it's so much bigger and deeper than that. And I wish people would take the time, like, to sit down and really realize people like Nipsey, who have an opportunity to get out of the hood and use their talents to go anywhere in the world and provide for their family, and still choose to come back and not only invest verbally, but invest literally in their own community to help make it better. Like, athletes who do that should be celebrated always. No matter whatever your political affiliation is, you need to recognize the impact that has on the community as a whole. And it's hard to understand, like maybe you don't know Nipsey's music,
right,
or maybe you don't understand what those neighborhoods are like because you've never been there, you've never experienced any kind of violence like that, or never known anyone who's experienced kind of violence like that, or never had interactions with the police like that. Just open your mind, expand your mind to the idea that this is really how certain people grow up and live, and the violence that they see every day and the impact that it has on generations to come. And the reason why that exists is not because it's a choice. Like there are institutional control issues, like the way literal cities are set up keeps people marginalized. And when athletes they don't have to do that. They can go live in Malibu and not pay it, not give a dime back to the community, live their life, play their game, and ignore everything that's going on from the places they came from, or even places that they didn't come from. Like maybe they didn't have a hard time growing up. They don't have to give back to the community. Right. It should always be celebrated. Like Kaepernick, we just saw at the Honcho Day of the North game with Saquon Barkley was there, and Gucci, and obviously
Julio Jones was the MVP last year.
Right. Kaepernick's not going away.
No.
And I don't want to make this about Kaepernick, but I just want to pull him as like an example for this.
Right.
Like he's not going away just because there was a settlement and there's just kind of an overall feeling that he's not going to get a job in the NFL again. The culture's not forgetting him. Like he what he did was impactful, and 30 years from now, 40 years from now, we're going to look back on this whole time very differently than the way that you may see it right now. Like there's a reason why people are begging everyone to be on the right side of history. Like don't dig your heels in over one issue. You need to see the bigger picture of the people around you. Like everybody doesn't have the same experience as you. Be open-minded to the idea that someone's struggle may actually be influencing where they are in their life. So to me, this is like a bigger conversation of we need to appreciate the people that are taking the time out of their lives, their money, their emotional effort away from their family, away from their kids, and putting themselves out there for criticism to do the right thing or to do something in their community and stand up for marginalized people. Because that's what Nipsey was doing, and that's why the reaction is so impactful.
You said it perfectly. That's it. I mean, listening to his music, I encourage everyone to go stream his music. Victory Lap, his album, that was under his All Money In, No Money Out label that he created in conjunction with Atlantic for the release of, but 25% of the streams goes directly to him and his family. So I say go out there and stream Victory Lap. He claimed he's Tupac of his generation in that album as well, in dedication, and sometimes you speak things into existence in a negative way as well, but he really was that. Yeah,
I mean, life imitates art, and sometimes in an unfortunate way, but he was right in that regard, and it feels like that eerie feeling, but I hope that everyone gets, and it feels that way. It feels like everyone's on the same page, like about how wrong it was, right, and what we all lost as a community. And even if you don't know anything about Nipsey, just pay attention to the reaction that the community has to it, because
and be sympathetic, because there's some people that are just like reading this as just another rapper shot, and just another rapper dead, and like this a normal storyline, and they're probably looking at this weird, like, why is everyone up in arms and mobilizing and coming together with this when this used to bring people apart? But this is a different time, as you said, period, in society.
Yeah, and I hope that is what happens. Like, I hope everyone sticks together the way that, the reaction is showing that they are. Yeah. Like, just the vigil itself, like turning violent again, is like the outrage that you feel about what happened should continue. Like, allow that fire to fuel positivity, because it feels very sad. Like, just even thinking about like what his family is going through, you just feel like, I don't know about you, but I just feel sad. You can't
escape it. I was at the Dollar Tree yesterday getting a gift bag, and the cashier was saying, like, I'm sick right now. And I was just like, I talk to people randomly, obviously, always, all the time. And I was like, she's like, I'm sick right now. And I was like, oh yeah, the weather's getting warmer in LA again. She was like, no, like this Nipsey thing, like my boss told me I got to stop talking to people about it. And I was like, this is a young Hispanic woman from LA who I'm just passing by in a Dollar Tree and just couldn't stop but talk to me about how she's feeling at 4 p.m. on a Monday after Nipsey was passed. Like, it's just deeper than a lot of things, and this is one of those things, like, just be respectful during this time, and obviously, but like, support.
No, totally support. But to me, that was the, like, I'm trying to think of how to phrase all of it. Mm-hmm. And to me, I was like, that bigger picture, like, this is why Kaepernick was supported so much. This is why Westbrook was supported so much. Like, this is why in these situations, it's like you have to fight the way that you do, because you've got to break through and change people's hearts. And, like, it's crazy, again, like, that one act of violence could affect so much. But hopefully that, you know, the reaction and coming together and that whole feeling and movement continues with it. And, you know, obviously hopefully they get some justice for him and his family.
Yeah.